Two questions to ask. The first is actually in January this year, there are 11, Chongqing and Israel together set up a China-Israel industrial park, and 11 high technology companies from Israel already entered this project. Yeah, I just want to ask, how do you see the cooperation prospect between Chongqing and Israel enterprises? What Chongqing's advantages to attract the investment from there? Yeah, the first question. And second question is, how do you see the Belt and Road Initiative and the Internet Connected Land Sea Development can promote the trade between Chongqing and Israel? Thank you.
As a young man in Israel, and I do consulting to a lot of Israeli companies from the high-tech sector. And when I speak with the CEOs, many times they're afraid to approach the Chinese market, and they pretty used to work on the US or in Europe, but in China it's harder for them because of the differences of law, language, culture, etc. And I think that by this kind of agreements between governments, between Israel and Chongqing, Chinese government, we can make the situation much more easier for them to do the first steps in the Chinese market, because I believe that the Israeli innovation and technology that we have can, and with the big market that China has to offer, I believe that there can be a lot of benefits to the two sides. And the Israeli companies understand that, but still they have some kind of obstacles that they need to remove. So I think that here in Chongqing, what we can do is to help them do this first step into the Chinese market, as Chongqing is a wonderful place with business, a lot of business going here, a center of business in China with a lot of opportunities to offer them. And you can see a lot of companies coming from all over the world to work here, so it's not, I think it's a good opportunity for them also to come here. About the BRI, well, I think it's a very great project led by President Xi Jinping. I think it can bring through the trade peace and flourishing to the people all over this continent. And although it's not going through Israel, I think that Israel can have a very central part on that because of the innovation, the technology that we have when it concerns to transportation. And I think that we can bring again the Israeli companies to be and to take part on that initiative, and in the future even to use this road to make the trade. And the U.S. is one of our great allies in the world. We have many years of cooperation between the United States and Israel. And in the same time, we have trade that it's getting more and bigger every year between Israel and China. China today is number 2 in the states, in the countries of the trade. So the trade with China is very important to us. So the situation between the trade war between the U.S. and China, it's something that is make us very worried about, because we see the two sides as friends of ours, and it's sometimes, you know, like two friends of yours having some kind of fight. It's never good for us, and we hope that it will finish as soon as possible and in a better way. Because you must understand that today the Israeli companies, when they see this trade war, they think twice before they go to the Chinese market again, because they are they are afraid of being banned by the Americans. So I don't think that it's good for anyone, and I really hope that it will be finished as soon as possible, because we need strong economies, strong trade connections, because I believe that this is the way for peace and better life for everyone.
What is your opinion about the multilateralism and protectionism and globalization?
As I said, I think that the globalization, we can discuss a lot about it, but if you check the reality of countries that had been open for globalization and trade, you will see that the life of the citizens are better. As much as more open, the life are better in that country. Because in the end, every state, every country uses their benefits in the much better way, and by that they're using the benefits of other countries. You can see in closed countries that don't have trade agreements with other countries and don't get into the globalization, you can see how much the people there are very poor. And if you see China and what happened in the last decades, you can see also that the opening and the trade between China and other countries made the life of people better here, and this is something I think that we can see mostly in the last years under the leadership of President Xi. You see how much China is getting to be much more with a better economy and better life of their citizens, and it's something I think that we should continue with.
The technology development in Israel is very impressed.
Yes.
And how do you see the cooperation in technology that we can make between China and Israel?
Yes, you're right. In Israel, it's a kind of a miracle. We have a lot of startups in Israel with new ideas that they're working on development. And we also have very big companies with very innovative that already made change in the world. I think that there is two ways of cooperation. The first one is taking the technologies that already exist and to bring them to China. China is dealing with many problems that Israel have the solutions. For example, the air pollution, water pollution, agriculture, medical equipment. This is energy, transportation. It's we have a lot of fields that we are very good on, and China is dealing at the same time with problem in those fields. So I think that if you come with a problem to Israelis and say give us solution, we can find it for you. And the second thing is that Israeli, as I said, we have a lot of startups looking for investment. They have their ideas. They still need to do the R&D. and they need the investment for that. And with the Chinese capital, I think that we can bring more ideas to become to reality, and to bring new solutions to new problems.
As we realize that you are the CEO of Extend Consultation, and I want to ask you if you have any thoughts on investing in Chongqing, and if you are, which areas do you want to invest?
Well, actually, what I do is not investing in places. What we do in Israel, we help companies that want to work in China to do the first steps here in China. We also help the Chinese investors want to invest in Israeli companies to find the right opportunities. And the other thing that we do is taking if some kind of mayor from China come in and says, I have some kind of problems. As I said, for example, the water pollution, and please find us a solution in Israel. So that's what we do. We go and find him the right technology that he needs.
And what do you think of the role of Israel in the Belt and Road Initiative? And the second question is, Israel is the only country in the world that stopped the desertation of the land. And how do we learn from it? In which area do we can learn from you in this?
Desertation of land?
Yes.
As I said, for your first question, I think that still there are a lot of technologies that we can use in the Road and Belt Initiative. Just for example, Israel is very innovative in cybersecurity. Maybe we can use technologies of cybersecurity for protecting this road happening and that been built between the countries. And about the land, I didn't exactly understand the question. You have problems of
to stop the land become the desert.
Oh, okay. Yes. Well, in Israel, we managed to make the desert more fruitful by using correctly water with again new technologies that we use. And I'm not quite sure about the situation here in Chongqing, but if you have the same problems, then I believe that we can use those technologies. For example, Israel is using in agriculture in recycled water. Israel recycling water is number one in the world. We recycle something like 80% of our water. And the second country is Spain with 16% recycle. So you can understand the differences. And we're using technology in the end. And technology is something that we can use in every place in the world, also in Chongqing.
What is the biggest difficulties when it comes to the Israel companies coming to China to establish their business, or the other way around?
You must understand something about Israel. Israel, for many years, we got used to look to the West because of the cultural issues, because of diplomatic issues. The diplomatic relations between China and Israel has been established only in 1992. And even for example, your reporters, every Israeli news channel has reporter in Europe and in the United States. Can you guess how many reporters are in China? No one. There is no Israeli reporters here in China. So the Israelis, although we work outside of Israel all over the world, we don't know a lot about China. And there's a lot of obstacles, like differences of language, culture, differences, even it's things like I'm, for example, I'm a religious Jew, and we eat only kosher food, and it's very hard to find kosher food here in China. So there's a lot of things that sometimes are small, sometimes are not, sometimes that's things of perspective, knowledge. There's something that we need to work on. It's not quite simple, but it's possible.